Will AMD ever be able to beat Nvidia? The simple answer is no. So to understand the current situation of both AMD and Nvidia, we have to look a little bit behind. First, let's talk about AMD. Advanced Micro Devices have done a lot of things for the industry. They have introduced 64-bit computing, dual core processor was first introduced by AMD, and also the most famous Zen movement, or when they introduced their Zen architecture. Now the key thing with Zen architecture was not that it was packing more cores, it was very comparable with Intel's performance. It introduced multi-threading to the whole lineup, and also you can overclock every single CPU SKU without any worry. It was none of that. The reason that Ryzen was so successful and still successful today is because of Intel. Intel became lazy after AMD introduced their bulldozer architecture, which was the worst thing that AMD has ever done. Intel thought, well, they couldn't recover from that, and a lot of people, heck, I thought AMD will never recover from that. They were almost close to bankruptcy, but Lisa Su came on board and then changed the company, then introduced a Ryzen architecture, introduced at a time where Intel was offering 4 cores on their higher end consumer level CPUs. Multi-threading was not a necessity but a feature for specific CPUs, and the price was absurd. And also they were just not improving at all because in market there wasn't any competition. That's the reason Ryzen was so successful. On the other hand, let's talk about Nvidia. It was a new emerging company and the face was someone called Jensen Huang. Now this name is very important for the PC industry. This man changed the graphics industry or the graphics market multiple times, took risks and made sure that Nvidia is constantly developing and improving. Now their first GTX gaming GPU was bad. It was terrible, but they learned from that and then they improved and constantly improved themselves. And at that time, ATI, which later got acquired by AMD, was still back then very viable competitor of Nvidia. But slowly, Nvidia did few things. They took risk. They introduced a new thing called CUDA. That was something that changed Nvidia. A lot of software companies started utilizing CUDA because then they are not only utilizing your CPU, your RAM, but also can utilize graphics card, and that paved the way for Nvidia. Now on the other hand, AMD always plays catch up and plays on their price to performance ratio. For an example, when Nvidia launched or announced that they are moving from rasterization, real-time ray tracing on their GPUs, still AMD GPUs are not the best option if you want to play ray traced games. Their upscaling technology still isn't up to the mark. And then comes the biggest problem I have with AMD, and that is marketing. No matter we are talking about Ryzen CPUs or Radeon GPUs, AMD's marketing is not always the best, and some of the decisions that they make not really good. 7900 XTX launched at $1,000 price, which was crazy. It wasn't supposed to be $1,000 price, and that's the problem with AMD. They want to be the budget player. Still, they implement things in a very complicated way. It's been well known in the industry that implementing DLSS, which is a proprietary technology, is easier compared to FSR, which is an open source technology, and that tells you that AMD still needs to figure out some internal things. But that doesn't mean I hate AMD or I love Nvidia. Hey, I upgraded my GPU to an AMD card. I know having an Nvidia GPU and having CUDA will make my life easier while I export these videos. I want AMD to have the Zen movement for the Radeon division. But unfortunately, I'm not seeing that happening anytime soon because they just want to play catch up to Nvidia. They just want to be the budget players in the industry. If I compare AMD's Radeon division to the Ryzen division, it looks like that they are not even the same company. Ryzen took risk. They introduced technology having 16 cores on a consumer level CPU at a good price and consistently cutting their price just to be competitive. On the other hand, Radeon looks like a mishmash collection of GPUs that AMD launched just to answer Nvidia. Now, after the launch of 6000 series, I definitely thought now we might see AMD's redemption arc, but I was wrong. The 7000 series, like, there are probably 2 GPUs that are good. It offers you better rasterization performance at a certain budget, but in some games AMD doesn't perform really well, specifically Unreal Engine 5, and these are the problems that AMD needs to tackle before even they think to come close to Nvidia. Forget about outright beating them in the market and gaining more market share. Now, I know this was a little rant, and I have this frustration for a long time that why AMD's graphics division does the things that they do. I just hate it. I know that this company have a lot of potential. They have proved everybody wrong time and time again, and I want them to prove wrong, because right now Nvidia has the monopoly over the market. They can do anything and get by with it just because there isn't enough competition. I want that thing to change. And I want another thing to change, and that is you guys watching my videos and not subscribing. If you have made so far, why not subscribe? Hey, it's the red shiny button, click it. Or I don't know if it's white. Like, I think YouTube changed it to white. I guess if it's white, click it. If it's red, click it again. Like, if you already click it, don't click it again. But if you haven't click it, click it. You got the point, right? Don't forget to like the video. If you hated it, dislike. No hate, brother. You can dislike it. Until then, there's Akash, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.